What's up, aliens? It's Big Al. Welcome to another Dumb Sports Show. I was sitting here thinking, no, not a lot happened this week. Do I really need to put out a video of just rambling about nonsense? And then I started thinking, and I was like, March Madness just ended. The Masters is coming up this weekend. Deshaun Watson's got 22 counts against him. Baseball is alive and well, first week of the season. There's a lot going on. This is a sports show. I get caught up in thinking the NFL is everything. The NFL is king, but it is not everything. All right, let's get into it. Let's talk about stuff, mostly non-football. I still found some football shit to talk about, so fear not. Turns out Baylor was actually super good at basketball. Who knew? Not me. I guess everyone knew. I guess the guy that beat me at work picked Baylor to freaking win the goddamn work bracket. But Baylor was actually super good. And I didn't hear about it till after because I thought they sucked. I thought they got hit with COVID and they weren't the same since. But turns out there are only two losses. One came because of COVID. They lost a bunch of players, and then they lost in the Big 12 championship game to Cade Cunningham, who is probably going number 1 or 2 overall in the draft. Slaughtered the tournament. Just freaking mollywopped everybody, including Gonzaga, who did not show up at all on Monday night. Gonzaga looked shitty, handlebar mustache and all. When you do quirky stuff like that, like Baylor guy had the mullet, looking good, running up and down the court. The freaking Gonzaga guy, I don't even know these kids' names. None of them are going to the NBA. So, the Gonzaga guy, handlebar mustache, white guy with a freaking with a headband, looking dorky as hell. You do that stuff in college because it's like you're quirky, you want to stand out. You know, you have fun with it. You have to win if you do stuff like that. If you do stuff like that and you get the freaking crap blown out of you, I mean, it's just sad. And Gonzaga went 30-0 and then couldn't finish. I was Gonzaga. Ever since Illinois lost, I was like, oh, I guess Gonzaga just wins then. And Baylor came out and surprised everyone. That was insane. Hats off to the NCAA tournament. They canceled one game out of, I don't even know how many there are, 64 teams, 68 teams, whatever it is. They only canceled one game, so that's pretty good. What was weird about this tournament was that it was the first time, I feel like, in recent memory where it was actually the two best teams from the regular season were actually playing in the national championship game. And you think about, like, how many Cinderellas there have been in March Madness, even just recently. I think about, like, Butler, Virginia Commonwealth, Wichita State, Loyola, Chicago. All these schools, like, end up making the Final Four. Texas Tech did it a couple years ago. All these schools that end up making the Final Four, they're like, but there's always like this one champion. It was always my theory that like some big basketball school always wins. Like it's just inevitable. It's Kansas, Duke, Kentucky, it's Syracuse. It's all these basketball schools, right? And so the past two tournaments, my theory is actually being freaking destroyed, which is terrible. But so Baylor wins. First championship game I can remember, at least recently, that featured the two best teams from the regular season. You might argue that Illinois can be thrown in there, but I mean Baylor and Gonzaga, that I guess we waited all season to see that, and we got to see it, and Baylor owned Gonzaga from the beginning. I think they went up 9-0, and it was never the same. Like they weren't even close. They got within 10 points. I actually bet lunch on Gonzaga, and of course I lost, but I think it was within 10 points. They got within 10 points at halftime, and I started texting my buddy, like, oh, you nervous yet? You nervous yet? Here comes the comeback. It was just never close. One of the most boring games to watch. I felt like they were in it for a long time. Probably like 5 minutes into the second half, I was like, okay, this game's over. It was just bad. Baylor was actually really good. Congrats to Baylor. So here's my little bit of football news for the week. Sam Darnold, baby, going to the Panthers. Jets trade him for a second next year, a fourth this year, and a sixth next year. Which is not bad. I wanted the Steelers to pick up for a long time, and that's just biased because, I mean, he went to USC, and he won us our last Rose Bowl. He didn't make USC good again, but he, like, put us on the map again. And Sam Darnold winning that Rose Bowl was one of the best football highlights of mine the past few years. Probably the best. Nothing was really going right. But Sam Darnold, I'm on the train that he's a good quarterback, and the Jets put him in a really crappy situation. Adam Gase was a terrible coach. He's going to sit there with Joe Brady as an offensive coordinator. Joe Brady, who unlocked the magic of Joe Burrow. He's going to sit there with him, learn from him. He'll probably beat out Teddy Bridgewater for the job. I think Darnold's more athletic and probably a better passer. And if they trade for him, they trade 3 picks for him. I think they're going to want to see him, and they're not going to want to see just Bridgewater being average. And I like Teddy Bridgewater, but he's pretty average. Darnold to the Panthers excites me. Reunites with Robbie Anderson. Has DJ Moore. Has Christian McCaffrey. I always forget, like, who are the weapons? The receivers. Christian McCaffrey is the best receiving running back in the league. So excited to see that. In my mock draft, I have them getting Kyle Pitts at 8. I hope he falls that far because the Panthers could be super dangerous with Darnold, Pitts, Anderson, Moore, and McCaffrey. That would be a dangerous offense, like right off the bat. They have to. They need it for competing with the Buccaneer defense down there in Tampa Bay. So Sam Darnold of the Panthers, I'm happy he gets a legit shot, and not just. I mean, like teams come or players come off their rookie contracts and they just don't get a shot after that because they just had a bad go at it. You think of like Jameis Winston, he was actually really good, and now he's a backup. Now he's got to fight Taysom Hill for a starting job in New Orleans. But good for Sam Darnold. Masters coming up this weekend. I might try to start watching it Thursday. The only time I've ever really watched golf is on like a Sunday afternoon when I'm just like goofing off, relaxing. I'm like, oh yeah, the Masters on. I'll see it on Twitter and I'll like turn it on. But I usually like watching the last few holes and then watching the guy win. I don't know. That's the lazy thing for me to do. Is just watch like the last few holes and watch the guy win. I like doing that. If there's a World Series game on or like an NBA Finals game on, I'll literally turn on like the last 10 minutes. If I'm not already watching it, I'll turn on the last 10 minutes just to see the winner like get excited. I don't know. It's a warm fuzzy for me. But Masters coming up. I don't even know if I can pick a winner. I don't even know if I know golfers anymore. I mean, it's just there's so many. It's like NASCAR. You can't just pick a guy to win a random race or a random tournament. No one's that dominant anymore. I like Ricky Fowler just because Ricky Fowler's from the same area I'm in. But I don't know. Maybe it's Jordan Spieth's turn. He just won a tournament last week. He's kind of hot right now. You know who I don't want to win is Bryson freaking DeChambeau. This guy just looks like such a douchebag. He gained all that muscle weight and he starts creaming freaking golf balls, 370 yards. But he's kind of a douche about it. Like, that's the thing is he's just a huge douche. He just looks like a douche. He looks like someone you just wouldn't want to hang out with. I don't want him to win. I saw a stupid video of him just swinging at the driving range today at Augusta, just hitting missiles. And he's just like completely wound up, the longest driver ever, just trying to freaking destroy everything. Just put all his anger, all his bullying, all his hate towards his family. This is all fake stuff I'm just making up, but you can just tell the anger he's putting into these golf balls. It's insane. He's trying to drive the ball like Happy Gilmore without taking a whole crow hop. All right, back into football. Deshaun Watson's losing all his sponsors. He lost Nike and he lost Beats by Dr. Dre. That sucks. Because he's at 22. He's got 22 girls that have come out and filed civil lawsuits against him for sexual misconduct. Those are Tiger Woods numbers, man. If it's like 1 or 2 and they're like, oh yeah, Ben Roethlisberger's only 1 or 2. Oh yeah, it's only 1 or 2. It's no big deal. 22 people is a lot of people. It's a lot of people. You'd have to think almost at this point that he has to play next year. Where'd I get that from? I think my buddy Kenny was like, I think Deshaun Watson has to play for the Texans next year just because they destroyed his credibility so much with these sexual assault allegations, all alleged. I think only one person actually went to the police. And it's because everyone started talking. They're like, oh, 20 people have come out, but no one's actually gone to the police. And so now someone's actually gone to the police. So people are coming out, and he came out and had screenshots of someone that was like demanding money from him. It was a guy too. I was like, what the heck? This guy was like demanding $100,000 from him. I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, obviously if it's true, like, guy's a piece of crap, but I mean, if it's not true, then are all these people going to get punished for false accusations? And I mean, he could sue all of them, right? Counter-sue all of them. Just ridiculous. He lost all his sponsors. Tiger Woods lost his sponsors. He lost Nike, those like square golf clubs he had. And then it just all started going downhill from there. Hopefully we see Deshaun Watson again, but maybe not. They got Tyrod Taylor down there in Houston now. They're like had a backup plan, like, okay, if we trade this guy or if he just ends up in jail, like, we have something. All right, enough sexual assault. This is a positive show. Baseball is alive and well. We've got Shohei Ohtani throwing 101-mile-an-hour fastballs and then creaming 115-mile-an-hour home runs to deep right center field. Best two-way player probably since Babe Ruth. That's a lot to say. But there just aren't like pitcher hitters really anymore. You think of like a couple pitchers had like a 150 batting average, and that's good for a pitcher. Like Shohei Ohtani is the man. Mike Trout hit a couple dingers this weekend. Baseball is just going well. The Pirates are losing 12-0 to the Reds. I mean, it's just great. The only thing that sucks is like injuries. It's like, you understand, baseball's a long season. 162 games is a lot of playing. But you've got Tatis is already hurt. Shohei Ohtani's already hurt. I think someone on the Yankees just got hurt today. This is the worst show. I don't give you any information. I just talk shit. I just talk out of my ass. But there's already been a lot of injuries, man. It's already a long season. We're 6 games into the season. We got people out already. We got the Mets and the Nationals, I think, had to cancel the first 4 games of the season because of COVID, which is insane. I mean, what do? They play 4 doubleheaders, like, somewhere down the road? That's a lot of games to make up. Luckily, it's early in the season, but you cancel a 4-game series in August, September, like, games are just gone, man. They're just gone. And then you got the Texas Rangers coming out and allowing full packed capacity. One of my buddies was watching. He said half of the fans were gone by the 4th inning. That's how bad the Rangers stink. They were just like, nah. We came for the first event post COVID, but I can't watch this baseball game. My team just sucks ass. Speaking of baseball, the big controversy coming out of the week is that Atlanta, Georgia loses the All Star Game. There's good about this. There's a lot of good about this, and there's stuff that doesn't make sense to me. So, like, there's Georgia. For those of you who don't know, Georgia came out with a new law that kind of discourages absentee voting. It's like petty, stupid stuff. Like, it makes it illegal to offer food and water to someone waiting in line to vote in Georgia. The whole thing is definitely voter suppression towards African Americans, and it's blatantly obvious. So, because of this law, they take the All-Star Game out of Atlanta. But what doesn't make sense to me is that, first of all, they moved it to Denver, Colorado. All right. So you look at that. Wouldn't you want to support African-American businesses, and wouldn't you want to support Atlanta's 51% African-American population? They pull it out of Atlanta and they put it in Denver. I had to look up the African-American population of Denver. 9%. Denver might be the whitest city in America. It might be whiter than Green Bay, Wisconsin. They freaking put it in Denver. Probably 1% African-American businesses. I mean, like, they could have funneled a lot of money into Atlanta for African-American businesses and different clubs and different advertisement opportunities, different stuff like that. And put it in Denver. I mean, the choice doesn't make sense to me. There's better cities you could have put it in if you were making a statement for equality, making a statement for equal rights in voting and everything like that. But I don't know. Going from Atlanta to Denver seems like going the opposite direction of what you're actually trying to accomplish. All right. That's all I'm going to talk about that. I got political. I talked about sexual assault. This was like a weird show for me. I usually try to keep it light and keep it fresh, but that's what's going on in the sports world. I got to talk about sports. So thanks for watching, guys. Love always, and remember, Iowa sucks.